Vini cooks, but fellow Brazilian Raphinha steals the show. We witnessed the greatest upset in FA Cup history this weekend. Spurs United remain atrocious, and Endrick is up and running in French football. This is DMAC Daily. El Clasico's latest rendition delivers an absolute banger. Vini breaking his 18-match scoreless run in spectacular fashion. For all the slander this man has endured of late, bro is now tied with CR7, Benzema and Puskás as Madrid's all-time leader for goals and assists in finals with 16 in 15 games. But he'd still be upstaged by fellow Brazilian winger Raphinha, with the 29-year-old bagging a brace which included the eventual match winner to hand Barca their 16th Super Cup title. It wasn't a perfect display though by the Blaugrana. Despite being light years ahead in the heart of midfield, the typical defensive lapses were clear for all to see, and then down to 10 men they almost threw it all away entirely. Luckily for their sake, Carreras bottled a golden opportunity from point blank range. He's copping a lot of heat for that miss, but if there's anyone who should be held responsible for their shortcomings today, it's gotta be Xabi Alonso, right? Outside of individual quality, Madrid were largely second best, tactically outclassed, and don't get me started on the substitutions. Obviously Mbappe was needed off the bench, but why take off Garcia, who was heavily involved in both of their goals prior? That was questionable. But then taking off Vini Jr. for Dani Ceballos, that right there constitutes a war crime. Like, Vini was their best player today. He's objectively their most clutch player. A trophy is on the line, and you take him out with minutes to spare for a rotational central midfielder? That moment alone has radicalized me. I've now lost all faith in Alonso. Moving to English football, and just when you think you've seen it all, 6th tier semi-pro side Macclesfield, the lowest ranked team remaining in the entire FA Cup, have somehow knocked out the reigning champions Crystal Palace in the 3rd round. It is the first time in the competition's 155-year history that a 6th tier team has defeated top flight opposition. These guys aren't even a dominant team in the National League North. I can't emphasize enough just how unbelievable of a result this is. I mean, a 3rd tier side got hit for double digits against Prem opposition this weekend, yet this lot has somehow taken out the previous winners of the entire thing. The magic of the cup is alive and well. Incredible scenes at full time with the pitch invasion. So many touching storylines at play here too, with Wayne Rooney pitch side as pundit, clearly moved at full time, seeing his younger brother, who is the club's manager, pull off such a miracle. Remember, this team is also collectively still grieving with the unexpected passing of Ethan McLeod just 3 weeks prior. Macclesfield were also notably liquidated as a club back in 2020. They've been through the ringer plain and simple, but this moment will live in the hearts and minds of their fan base for generations to come. This photo of their captain serving himself a pint at the clubhouse post-match is unironically such a beautiful image. Like, this isn't supposed to happen. So farcical, yet so poetic. The football gods absolutely cooked with this script, as they did with United's latest home disaster, knocked out at Old Trafford in the FA Cup 3rd round by Brighton, meaning that it's a 40-game season for United, the lowest amount of games in 111 years for the club since World War I. That is diabolical stuff. But truth be told, this result in isolation shouldn't come as that much of a surprise. The club's already in turmoil. They've got an ex-player temporarily in charge. They've reverted back to a back four. Doesn't shock me that a stable Premier League club got the better of them, even if they weren't playing a full-strength side too. I do find it ironic though that some of the biggest Amorim simps are now crashing out at this result. Like, where was that energy during Amorim's 14 months in charge and the shocking 32% league win rate that followed? Don't be fooled by this kind of delusional revisionism. On a separate note, hilarious timing for United's captain to get hacked on Twitter. That is peak Manchester United right there. Moving from one mess to another though, and I really do empathize with Spurs fans. I do, because supporting this club must be truly devastating for your mental health. Seeing your manager drink out of an Arsenal cup and then get beaten again and again. Their latest L, knocked out by Aston Villa. The 37th defeat for Spurs since the start of last season now. It's truly dire stuff. Thomas Frank's days are surely numbered at this point. In other notable FA Cup ties, Arsenal made light work of Pompey thanks to Martinelli's hat-trick. The Raphinha era is underway with Chelsea hitting Charlton for 5. Newcastle and Sunderland knock fellow Premier League opposition out via penalties, just like Wrexham, who send Nottingham Forest packing. And as mentioned earlier, Man City pulled off a mammoth 10-1 battering of Exeter. Antoine Semenyo with a dream debut, scoring, assisting and picking up man of the match honours. Shifting gears to Germany, and Bayern have entered 2026 just like they left 2025, by farming the crap out of their opponents, hitting Wolfsburg for 8, their biggest ever defeat. Harry Kane's goal, the pick of the bunch today, outrageously top bins his 20th Bundesliga goal of the season. That's more than double the second highest tally. You may be asking yourselves, who is closest to catching him? Well, it's none other than Bayern Munich forwards Michael Olise and Luis Diaz. These two have also been ruthlessly stat padding. Diaz with 23 goal involvements in 23 games, Olise with 27 in 26. This is output that prime Robben and Ribéry would be proud of. Company is doing a tremendous job, but the optics of this total dominance I personally don't think are a great look for the Bundesliga. Dortmund have fallen off massively in recent years, Leipzig aren't a credible threat, and Leverkusen have returned to their previous level now. Bayern are so clear of their domestic opponents, and this is without Musiala too. Moving to Italian football, and this weekend was another installment of peak Serie A. Europe's most competitive title race saw two major players, Inter and Napoli, come toe-to-toe, and of course, a stalemate would follow. Inter dominated large periods of this contest and took the lead on 2 separate occasions, but the never-say-die attitude of Conte's Napoli was evident as they equalized twice thanks to their Scottish king Scott McTominay, his 12th goal involvement in 27 games this season from central midfield. The man simply can do no wrong at this point. A great result for Milan to potentially close the gap at the summit of the Serie A, but they once again bottled it against relegation battling opposition. Nkunku salvaging a late equalizer away at Fiorentina. Marco Brescianini could have had a dream debut for La Viola, but hit the crossbar late on, so the top 3 continue to drop points for fun. Roma's win over Sassuolo sees them potentially re-enter the title equation. Truth be told, I have no idea who wins this thing. Meanwhile, in France, Endrick has delivered a statement in his first outing in French football. The debut merchant himself, who bagged in his first appearance for the Seleção for Madrid in La Liga and then again in the UCL, has now made a dream start at Lyon, scoring the match winner away at Lille in the French Cup. This man is on a mission to make that World Cup squad for Brazil. He's coming into a Lyon squad that's now unbeaten in 9 games. They're top of their Europa League phase and are pushing for the top 3 in Ligue 1. It's a club that historically prioritizes youth talent, and it's very clear that they value Endrick big time. Personally, I think this is the perfect environment for him to flourish. Remember, before Esteval became the talk of the town in South America, Endrick was the star boy. I've still well and truly got my stocks on him becoming a superstar of the game. And to close out today's episode, we're going to briefly touch on AFCON this past weekend. 4 huge quarterfinal ties, starting with the host nation Morocco against Cameroon, and it just had to be Brahim Diaz once again. 5 games, 5 goals now, the first African player to do so since Osei Kofi for Ghana back in 1968. Ismail Saibari then closed out the show. A fine day at the office for Morocco. Nigeria absolutely cooked Algeria to advance to the semis. Osimhen scoring and then assisting Akor Adams, who then delivered an iconic tribute to Patrice Lumumba. Game recognizes game. Senegal got the better of their West African rivals Mali with a 1-0 victory. Everton star Iliman Ndiaye firing them to the semis. And it was another Merseyside star elsewhere who stepped up as Mo Salah's Egypt advanced with a huge win over the Ivory Coast. Marmoush picked up his 2nd goal of the tournament, but it would be their captain extraordinaire whose goal secured their place in the semi-final. Jamie Carragher's probably sweating as we speak because Salah is clearly a man on a mission, determined to bring AFCON back to Egypt. The 2 semis that now await us are going to be incredible matchups. Hard to go past Morocco on home soil, but the Super Eagles are moving different right now. They made a mockery of that Algeria side. And in the other matchup, I'd say Senegal have the stronger squad on paper, but there's a real unity within this Egypt team. 1 to 11, they probably weren't as strong as even the Ivory Coast were, but that collective spirit is evident, and they've got 2 real stars to rely on in attack as well. I'm predicting a Morocco versus Egypt final. Let me know your predictions below. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. I'll see you tomorrow.